What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Hella Flagrant, the podcast. We back up in here, episode 11. It's going down. I got my brother Sean B. Flagrant in here. It's your main man, Hella Flagrant DM. And oh man, NBA playoffs. We are down to the conference finals. We got the Western Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. We're on our way to the NBA Finals. It is going down. Sean B. Flagrant, how you feeling, brother?
Man, it's been some good basketball. Good, borderline great basketball being played in this playoffs. We got four teams right now. Obviously, our Golden State Warriors will be, going back to the Western Conference Finals for the fifth straight year in a row. This year, they will be playing the Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Enes Kanter, Seth Curry. Thank you, Seth Curry. Dale Curry and Sonya. My bad, Sonya. Can't really forget about Sonya. But Dale and Sonya will have their hands tied because, one son, obviously, Steph Curry that we know and love here in the Bay Area, and then his brother Seth, who plays for Portland. So, their family's going to be tied. We don't know who's going to be wearing what jersey or who's going to root for them. But
I think they should just split it. Like every game, one just go for
just
one.
Flip-flop. Just flip-flop, yeah.
Just flip-flop every game.
Yeah. I feel that. And they got their wives. Obviously, we know about Ayesha Curry. She can wear Steph's jersey. And then I don't remember Doc Rivers' daughter's name, but that's Seth Curry's fiance now. Yeah. So, there you go. So that would be a great series, I think, obviously. And on the other end, we got the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton and Brooke Lopez and all that length that they got over there in Milwaukee. Yeah. And then turn around and have to play the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard and Drake. Kawhi Leonard and friends and Drake.
Why does that seem like that's all they have is Kawhi Leonard and the hopes of Drake?
Those are the most important people in Toronto. So, that's all I can really say. Kyle Lowry, sorry.
Yeah. And if you're Toronto too, you got to be looking at yourself like, man, we could have kept DeMar and got rid of Kyle But you had to pick, and they made a choice, and that's the choice they made, and they're here now. You know what I mean?
Right.
With or without the help of Kyle, Serge Ibaka hit some key shots, a big 3-pointer down the way, but no shot at all was bigger than Kawhi Leonard's rim loving. Woo!
That ball bounced like at least 3 or 4 times, man. It felt like it took 5 to 10 seconds for that thing to even drop. I was standing up looking at it like, what's happening right now? Like, is this a movie? Like, it's just bouncing, roll it. Yeah. I'm like, wow. But clutch. That's all I can say. Clutch. I gotta give it to him.
Well, you can say that, and you can say the story of the night was Philadelphia's defense letting Kawhi do whatever he wanted to do. And then the game ended on just that. Kawhi doing whatever he wanted to do because Philadelphia's defense didn't have an answer for him. And so, congratulations to the Raptors on moving forward. Obviously, congratulations to Milwaukee Bucks. Congratulations to Portland Trailblazers. And obviously our team, the Warriors, moving forward. Now, the congratulations are in order, but we got to talk about those teams that are not moving forward.
Right.
And we'll play it backwards from the teams that got eliminated first to last. And so we'll start with Boston. Kyrie Irving went 24 for like 90 something in the last 4 games of the playoffs. The great Paul Pierce, who has no basketball knowledge anymore, like you need to go, sir. From analyzing anything, said after game 1 that the series was over, that after watching the Celtics win 1 game, Milwaukee had no chance. Boston went 0-4 after that statement. So, Paul, I don't know what you thought you were talking about. Boston Celtics, you guys are now in the hot seat. Kyrie may be leaving. You need to add some scoring to this team, whether he stays or not. What are you doing, Boston?
Yeah, Look, Kyrie Irving, when he left Cleveland, obviously forced his way out of Cleveland, kept speaking about how he wanted his own team, how he wanted to be the man, how LeBron was overshadowing him and his talents. And everybody thought, oh, well, Cleveland doesn't win 2016 against the Golden State Warriors without, or 2017, I should say, without Kyrie. Kyrie was the big man on campus, even though LeBron did put up a triple-double, average a triple-double, 40-point triple-double at that. But everybody was like, oh, no, it's Kyrie. He helped him win. Kyrie. Well, Kyrie had his chance to advance, and he didn't do it. And I look, it's a team game, so I'm not really going down Kyrie's road all the way. But in the same sense, Kyrie this year in Boston kind of flip-flopped in how his stance was. In the beginning of the season, he's talked about how he wants to come back to Boston and how he loves the city. And if you guys will have me, I'll be back. Well, that lasted about 2 hours because right after that, Kyrie went back into the mode where all you heard was him and KD just are going to leave and go to New York. Or Kyrie Irving's going to go to, Brooklyn or even LA. I heard a few LA things. Look, I don't know what Kyrie wants. It's his decision to leave or stay or whatever. But the whole time when you're sitting there talking about you want a new team and throwing your teammates under the bus, which he repeatedly did during the season, you have to show them and be a man and step up to the situation and play these games like this is your last. You cannot sit there and and have somebody talk about you missed these shots and you should have took 30 instead of 22 and then come out and not produce.
Right.
That's the problem with Kyrie. It's just everybody looks at everything wrong in his eyes, but yet still when it's time for him to do something, oh, it's not his fault. Right. Or, like maybe it wasn't, you should look at me, I should shoot more, or I need to do this, or this, my teammate didn't do this, or that. Look, you want your own team, you want to be the big man, you have to take the criticism just like any other man do. LeBron gets it, KD gets it, Steph gets it, James Harden gets it, and he's going to get it from me in a minute. But you got to take criticism too. It's only right.
Absolutely. And if you want to be considered a great player in this league, you're going to have to take the criticism, especially when, again, in the playoffs, and we're not even in the conference finals, you know what I mean? You're 7 for 28 in the last game. That's unacceptable. You know what I mean? And it'd be okay if you were, shooting at 65, 70% for the rest of the series, but no, you had about that same 30% or below performance every game except for the first game. And so you have to be able to take on the criticism. That's a part of your role. If you're going to be a team leader, and not only that, but as a lot of people will say and critics will say, the Boston Celtics seem to do a lot better without you on their team last season. You know what I mean? And so you've got to also answer for that as well. It's not just about what you produced this season, but look at what that team was able to do without you last season. And sure, I mean, you're playing different teams, different matchups. Obviously, I get that. You can't compare apples to oranges, whatever. But at the same time, you can say that Kyrie's performance when you're shooting 28 shots, 22 shots, 25 shots, and missing a good deal of those, you're pulling away from somebody else that may be able to have a better performance or shots spread around the team that may be able to, get your team some points. And so, you have to take that criticism on. So, again, I don't know where Kyrie's going to end up. I have a feeling it's definitely not going to be Boston, though. New York obviously looks like the biggest champion for that cause. But, we'll see.
And again, though, you got to understand, if he's going to go to New York, you're going to get even more criticism coming there. Like, it's not going to ratchet down if you leave your team. It's going to get heightened. The problem's going to be more visible in New York because New York, they want winners. Yes, they haven't had winners in a long time, but if you go there and let's say that you get the number one pick or they don't, maybe they get the second, third pick. I guess we'll find out, tomorrow actually. But the point of that is you're not going to get away from this microscope that's on you. Right now, you were not a closer. You were successful with LeBron, which is not hard by many people in, being a second best player on a team. Usually they perform well with LeBron, i.e. Dwayne Wade. when you have that situation. Now, Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Kyrie's not good. Kyrie is a monster when he wants to be, but you have to always be that monster. You can't check in and check out anytime you want to, especially if you want to be considered a great player in the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, he's on the list because, again, moving right along in that same conversation about guys checking in, checking out. If you want to be a great player in this league, Philadelphia 76ers knocked out by the Toronto Raptors, again, off of that Kawhi crazy shot in a game 7. Yeah, they pushed Toronto to 7. But, a lot of guys have some criticism for Joel Embiid, checking in, checking out. The consistency. All season long, we talk about his ability to stay in games. We talk about his ability to play out a full season. We talk about his health, and we look at him in these playoffs, and we say, hey, Joel, you want to deem yourself a great player in this NBA, you got to be consistent. And that's something that has to be discussed and has to be talked about because he too being seen not focused on games, reading text messages, reading, box score sheets and stuff, eating hamburgers and then having stomach ailments and things of that nature. Again, if you want to be seen as a great player in this league moving forward, sir, you've got to be there consistently.
Right. Yeah, and there was a whole bunch of things that I felt that Joel Embiid did not perform with during the season. You touched on it, obviously, with the whole stomach thing. Look, I can't say, but I don't know about anybody else's stomach. I have stomach problems sometimes. I'm not playing basketball. You're a 20-something-year-old man. You need to take care of yourself. You have, I'm sure, great, people, nutritionists that work with you all the time. There's no reason for you to be having so many sicknesses and ailments at all the time. It's one thing, okay, we know about the injury history. Fine. You're a big guy. You're going to have a lot of problems with that situation. But it can't be a knee injury today. Next game, oh, I didn't play well, but my stomach hurts and I was throwing up. Oh, the next game, oh, he has 2 sicknesses and 2 different viruses. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, when I watched this whole series, I started respecting Shaq a lot more. Now, Shaq was deemed a goofy guy. Obviously, you see him on TNT. He's funny as hell. But every time Shaq stepped on the court, he came to play. Now, when he got older, it was a little bit different because he couldn't really do a lot. But Shaq was dominant. Shaq got himself down in that post and would tear shit up. That's what Joel Embiid needs to do. I'm tired of all these 3-pointers. Look, you got J.J. Redick on your team. You got Jimmy Butler on your team. You got what's the dude from? Used to play for the Clippers. And he's just giving them. Anyway, I'll think of it. But my point is, you got shooters on that team. You have shooters on that team. You do not need to be shooting 4, 5, 6 3-pointers a game. The biggest thing about you is your ability to get defenders off you, to make moves, to go up and under, just like Hakeem used to do. You tear people apart when you do that. Then your outside shot can come. But 13 points for a 7-foot man who's almost 300 pounds is not going to work if he's your best player. I'm sorry. No. That does not work.
No.
And another problem. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, well, I was going to say, especially against a team like the Raptors who don't have a true center. So, you know what I mean? There's no reason why you should be that far away from the basket if they don't have a guy your size, you know what I mean, your height, your size that can match up with you and block shots. You need to be eating down low.
Yeah. Exactly. Tobias Harris was the other name that I forgot. But that's my point. They have people that can shoot the ball.
Right.
Now, coming to that situation, there's another person who can't shoot the ball on that team. And this is going to drive me crazy. I'm sorry. Ben Simmons is going to have to learn how to shoot. This is ridiculous. Yeah. And it's not even just the fact that he doesn't know how to shoot. It's that he's afraid to shoot. You are hampering this team if you are not going to take shots and not learn how to shoot. I don't care if you can pass. I don't care if you're 6'10" and you can run the break and do all these great things, dunking and everything like that. Look, take time in the summer and develop a shot. I'm sure he does work on it, but I'm saying this truthfully. Your career is wasting away. Yeah. And I know he's only played 2 years, but the fact of the matter is, if you can't shoot, they will run you out of the league. I know Lonzo having this problem. We'll talk about him a little bit later.
Yeah.
Because they had to bring in a coach for him. They're trying to bring in a coach for him so that way his
look at
streak can grow.
Markel. Look at Markel.
Exactly. You see where that gets you. People are backing off all the way into the key when he's out there. They don't respect him at all with that on that type of thing. They have to figure that out because I'm telling you, the Sixers, if your two best players, one can't stay healthy and be on the floor, and the other one, when on the floor, is literally ineffective on offense,
right?
You're never going to win a championship.
Not at all. Not at all. And not without another big game player. You know what I mean? Like, not to knock Jimmy Butler. He's a good player, but he's not the big shot, big game player that is really going to carry a team and put a team on your back and carry you through a playoff series. Not like this. Not like that. So, yeah, Philly, you guys got to tighten that up. Joel Embiid, again, you want to be a great player in this league, you got to be consistent. And you've got to find a way to be consistent from inside the paint, score, at 50% or higher from within the paint. You're huge. There's no one in the Eastern Conference that should be able to match up with you at all whatsoever. So that's a no-brainer. Moving on to other teams that got knocked off. Denver, I don't really have too much to say about y'all. Y'all put up a good fight. Y'all are still a young team. Jokic with the flopping, he may want to calm that down and just actually play defense instead of looking for the foul call every single time. But other than that, they're a young team. They have a lot of good pieces and a lot of good things that they can take with them. They pushed Portland to 7 games, and so I don't have a whole lot of negative to say about Denver.
Denver. The moment looked too big. Mm-hmm. That's all I really say. Mike Malone is a great coach. I think that their pieces, Jamal Murray is only 21 years old. That guy's going to be a problem in the league. He didn't have a great game to close out, but like you said, they're young. Jokic, same thing. He's young. I mean, he's not as athletic, so you probably need to get somebody else to be he can't really be your best player, even though he had a terrific year this year. But because of his limited ability to get up off the floor, it's going to be hard for him once people learn how to guard him. So, but I don't really have a lot to say about Denver. They did do their best. They pushed a lot of things. I mean, just the fact that you win a 7-game series with the Spurs and then also the Blazers says a lot because it says that even though you had the better team, probably you couldn't really get it done the way you're supposed to. Usually teams that are second place, and I can't say that because of the way it took them a little bit of time to this offseason, but usually teams finish first round opponents with the 7th seed fairly quickly. Same thing, maybe even in the next round, unless they play a good team. Now, Spurs, you have a great coach in Popovich, so that's one thing, but they still should have beat that team because Spurs are really not as good as they used to be.
Yeah.
Blazers, Dame and CJ took over, so you really can't say it. But so, my point is, I don't have a lot of bad things or things to nitpick with them. They're just young, and they need to, they'll grow into it.
Yeah. Denver will grow into it. I think they'll be all right in the coming years. But the other team in the Western Conference that just got sent home again by the Warriors again. The Houston Rockets, and this, obviously this is going to hit home for us, particularly being Warriors fans, but also just because, me personally, how I have felt since the beginning of this season, since last season, about how the Rockets play basketball, particularly James Harden. I never saw that at them of basketball. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's individually, it's a great thing. I never really saw it as a winning style of basketball. I don't want to sound like I'm mocking Kobe. Everybody's seen the Kobe meme since they lost, and everybody's seen Kobe speak on it. But I feel like I've had that same sentiment since before Kobe had said that. And here we are yet again. This time you had a healthy Chris Paul, so there's no excuse there. This time you guys had all of your forces, your PJ Tuckers, your Aaron Gordons, you know what I'm saying, your James Hardens, every piece that you have put in place to try to defeat the Warriors, you guys had. They were there. We had an injured KD. Draymond had fouled out of Game 5. giving the Rockets every opportunity to try to pounce on the Warriors. And yet again, the moment the lights was too bright. It was too big for CP3, too big for James Harden, too big for Mike D'Antoni and this one-on-one style of play. Let everybody, go for self and try to shoot the ball and win it from beyond the three-point arc. It was yet again just way too big for the Houston Rockets as a team, and the Warriors championship style took over. They kicked in. Steph, obviously, the unanimous MVP, had a unanimous MVP style second half of the sixth of game six.
Second half.
Not saying whole night. But, there's a lot to unfold here. There's a lot to talk about. And so I could ramble for a second, but let's get into this. Let's get into the Houston Rockets. A, losing to the Warriors, and B, what's going to happen to this team?
Well, what I saw from the series, obviously, like I said, we are Golden State Warriors fans, so we watch these series when they play a lot closer. The Houston series we've watched, obviously, for the last 5 years, which the Warriors have beaten them 4 or 5 times, pretty much in the playoffs. Look, I understand this. I completely understand. The Warriors are a great team. They are the best team in the NBA. They are probably one, if not the best, they are one of the best teams of all time. So I understand the hurdle that probably is the Houston Rockets. Now, getting that out the way. This style of play, D'Antoni's offense, is a style that you adopted as a team. This is what you wanted to run. Now, James Harden, for all the choking situation that everybody talks about him in the playoffs, it still happened in terms of the outcome, as also, him missing 5 free throws in the last game, him making costly turnovers. He played well offensively for what you asked him to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, and like you stated, this style of offense is not going to win anything, especially not against a good team. Well, we were very critical on our cutaway that we did about the Warriors, and we asked for bench play, and it came. It came.
Yeah.
They delivered. They helped us out, and it was a big win. Probably one of the most gratifying win I've had being a Warriors fan in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and let me get in right there on that point and just point out why I think the bench play was so effective in Game 6. And I've made this point to a few people now, but the Rockets team as constructed was constructed to beat our starting 5 plus 1. Being that Andre Iguodala sometimes comes off the bench, but the Rockets were constructed to beat our starting 5. And so they have a team of shooters. PJ Tucker shoots the ball. Although he looks like he should be a fullback for somebody's football team, the man does nothing but shoot the ball. Eric Gordon shoots the ball. James Harden is a shooter. Yeah, he gets to the lane and gets some layups done on the inside, but for the most part, he is a shooter. You guys center your team around 3 key shooters, and then attempt to try to, defend us on the other end in the same respect. Well, what you didn't plan for was our bench, because you never game planned for them. You guys didn't have to play defense against these other guys that aren't shooters. All you planned for was to play against these shooters. And so now, once the Warriors bench stepped in, and they did exactly what they needed to do, which was move the basketball around and keep the ball moving. And as long as they did that, the Rockets were going to be kept off guard, because all they, again, were prepared to play was against the Warriors' top 4 to 5 players. They were never really prepared to play against these guys. They didn't game plan for this whatsoever. And so I think that led to a lot of points coming from off the bench that the Rockets just weren't expecting.
Right. And, speaking on that, they talking about, you saying game plan for, the Warriors starting 5. Well, this is the Rockets' problem. And I've started to realize this time in and time out, because they've just planned for us. And in their mind, they've psyched themselves out because they've only planned for us. Right. They don't take the game as what it can be, or what it should be. They're not worried about playing actual basketball. They're just worried about us. Right. It's almost like an unhealthy fear that they have for us, so they psych themselves out by doing little things like Chris Paul. Look, I'm going to tell you like this. The Houston Rockets are in a big trouble. They're paying that man $120 more million, 40 plus for the next 3 years. This is a problem. Chris Paul did not show up this whole entire playoffs, but at least in this series. Now, he did okay in Game 6, but it's a little too late. Chris Paul is showing his age dramatically. He is not very good, and now he's always done this, but because he can't guard, because he can't do things that he used to do, he's starting to do all these extra stuff, like try to trick people, do different things, or try to muck it up so that way he can have a better outcome, guarding Steph or whoever he has to guard. One point here, after I think it was Game 4 or before Game 4, Steph Curry decided to schedule some time to shoot before the game.
I thought it was Game 6.
Was it this last game?
I thought it was Game 6.
Well, yeah. Even more of my point. Yeah, it probably was because he was yelling at things. Probably was. So this is my point I'm trying to get. So Steph Curry decided to schedule a shoot, to get some shots up for an hour at the Toyota Center. Perfectly fine. Chris Paul finds out about it from someone. I don't know. Obviously, they play there, so I'm sure somebody would told him. And he decides, instead of allowing him to shoot at one basket or get some shots up on his own to prepare, he just tries to block Steph from even getting his shots up at all.
Yeah.
Steph decided, he says, look, I'll let you have half of the court if you want it. Didn't happen. Chris Paul said no. These are the mind games that you're thinking of trying to prepare for somebody else. You don't see Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green doing any of that.
Right.
I mean, if they're talking, trash on the court, that's one thing. But they're not sitting there doing things outside of the actual basketball game just to gain an advantage.
And I single-handedly blame what happened in the second half of that game on Chris Paul, because I feel like the first half, Steph was just trying to find his range. And then once he found it, because he didn't get his shoot around, once he found it, it was over. You know what I'm saying? He went off and snapped on you because, bro, like Steph said, as he's coming off of the game to Draymond, kick me off the court again, bro. Again, you're dealing with the unanimous MVP. Y'all keep acting like, okay, because Steph hasn't necessarily been the Steph that we know him to be in the last few weeks leading into the playoffs and in these playoffs. I will say all of that. Steph has not been Steph-like in the terms of taking over games, but you still dealing with the babyface assassin, bro. Like, this man still is that dude. And so Chris Paul, bro, I get it. State Farm commercials are fun. You are having a lot of great fun in Houston with your team. Y'all are finding ways to win games in the regular season, but this postseason thing just isn't for you, bro. It wasn't in LA. It didn't happen for you in New Orleans. It's not happening for you in Houston. I don't know what to tell you. You don't show up when it counts. And so for that, I can't call you a great player. James Harden, you haven't had as many playoff losses as Chris Paul yet, but you're on the same train. And you're headed down that same track if you don't figure out how to play team basketball. Because you and Russell Wilson,
Westbrook.
You and Russell Westbrook are going to be hanging out in LA every summer playing at LA Fitness or something if y'all don't figure this out, because y'all are not going to get past certain rounds of playoffs if you keep playing this one-on-one style of basketball, thinking like this is really going to get you to a championship. Not against good basketball teams at all.
And I also blame that. That's the system. That's on Mike D'Antoni. You gotta, at some point, somebody's gonna have to understand that this style of basketball is just not going to hold up. Mike D'Antoni is a great offensive guru because he does different things, but you don't need an offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? You need a head coach. He's got to figure this out. Chris Paul obviously was not the move. You can't get a contract now. You're hampered because of that. You gave Clint Capella.
Who's taking that?
Nobody. You gave Clint Capella around $23-24 million per year. He didn't even play in this series. The one team that you literally tried to beat, that you've been thinking about your whole time, you couldn't even play a man who is getting paid $20-something million because he was useless. You can't do this. Like, I understand
that. Didn't Clint Capella say he wanted that when he found out that they were playing the West?
Yeah,
he was like,
thought he did.
Swear we wanted.
He did. He thought he did. He thought he did. He thought he did. So, and James and Chris Paul was sitting right by him. Neither one of them wanted any of the smoke. None of it. None of it
whatsoever.
So, I don't really know what that owner is planning on doing, but I can tell you right now, James, you could keep James Harden, but you just got to figure out a different way to use him. It's the offense. It's not James' fault that they keep demanding him to do too much. But the fact of the matter is you're demanding him to do too much. And then when he has games like this and he doesn't play maybe as, or save the day or play as good as you might hope, then you fall flat on your ass because you don't have anybody else that will step up and take that load off. We had Steph who had 0 points in the first half. I've never seen that before. He had 0 points in the first half. Who stepped up for him? Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson came and saved the day. Think about that. We have a person that can come in there and put up shots. And I'm not even talking about the man who was sitting at home in Kevin Durant, who can also obviously score 35 at any time he wants to.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is, at least we have a player that can step up. Chris can't do that. Chris has to only play when James is playing well. He can only produce because that Chris Paul of old is not here anymore. Yeah. It's done. And the fact of the matter is, I think he even knows at this point that he's just holding on. But it's just like, look, their window for a championship with this constructed team is done.
Yeah.
It's done. It ended it. All the Houston Rockets fans that said, "Oh, we would have won if we had CP3 and everything like that." How? I don't see. How could you have?
You blew a no KD lead.
Right.
You blew a no KD lead with a healthy Chris Paul, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like all these people that was like, "Oh, if we had CP3, we'd beat y'all last year." So now, what is the narrative? Like, what do you say now? Like, what is it? Because I don't know. Like, I don't know. What do you say? And like you said, obviously you're not getting rid of James Harden. You can't get rid of Chris Paul's contract, and nobody's gonna take on Capella's contract either. So those three are stuck there for sure.
Right.
I don't know.
And obviously, I think I was gonna say I think Eric Gordon played the second best. He was the second best player in that series, other than PJ Tucker. They played well. The rest of them didn't do anything. I don't know what they pay Eric Gordon, but like you said, you can't get rid of CP3. I mean, if I had my choice, it would obviously be CP3 and Capella because you're not going to win with either one of them. Capella, he just can't. Same thing like Ben Simmons. Like if he can't dunk the ball, he's literally
he's not effective. He's not, and defensively, he's not. He's not as effective as he should be. To be that size, he has no real quickness. I mean, if you can't really guard a Draymond Green who's not an offensive threat, bro, come on, what are you doing down here? And so, again, I don't know what Houston's going to do having to hold on to those three contracts for sure. And then you're going to end up, trading away Eric Gordon or PJ Tucker, who are your best players, to try to get somebody else like that. I don't see how that works. I don't really see how that works. So Houston,
we have a problem.
You've got a real problem. You've got a real problem because you're now the Toronto of the West. When they had Kyle and DeMar, and
they might go be back and be because if Kawhi leaves them in the offseason, they're gonna go right back to where they were before.
And so, speaking of offseason moves, and let's get into this just a little bit. We obviously talked about the playoff teams already and kind of what's out there for them to do. I don't know what's going to happen for Philadelphia. Obviously, Jimmy Butler is a free agent. News came through that it looks like 76ers are the front runner to re-sign him, but we don't know because of some other moves that may get made. Somebody else may offer him more money. We don't know. We look at Boston. Obviously, Kyrie is on the wire to leave, but they obviously need some other pieces in there too. The Gordon Hayward thing is still in the air. Do you keep him? Do you find somebody to unload his contract to? What other pieces do you need there to make Boston tough?
And Al Horford is a free agent too, so he might be on his way out.
Yeah, and I mean he's older. Not to say that he still can't play. He can a little bit. I think he gets a veteran contract somewhere, but does Boston need to hold on to him is the question.
Right.
So there's those things to look at. Houston, like we just talked about, needs to make moves. I don't know if they can. You look at
Kawhi Leonard, Toronto might be out.
Kawhi Leonard, if he goes now, if Kawhi goes, let's talk about that. A couple things. Number one, where do you think are some of the top places for Kawhi to land if he does go? And number two, what happens to Toronto? Well, we know what happens to Toronto. That's
right.
A rhetorical question.
Yeah, I don't think it's any other. If it's not Toronto, which I kind of still don't think it's going to be, unless they do get to the finals, and he does seem like he's enjoying himself a little bit more. I'm only saying that because I saw him smile the other day.
You make that shot and you gotta smile. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's true. But I think it's either one or two teams. It's either the Clippers or the Lakers. I don't think he wants to go to the Lakers because of how dysfunctional they are, and we'll obviously talk about that in a minute. But I think it's probably the Clippers just because he's been clamoring for that, this whole time. So I think if he does decide to leave Toronto, that's probably the first place and the only place really that he would go would be one of the two LA teams and probably the Clippers, at that.
Yeah, I agree. And since we mentioned it, we can go ahead and segue into LA teams. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, who are, let's just say they're in a PR, I'm call it a mess, a sham, actually, if you want to call it right now. Publicly, you look bad, Lakers.
Right.
You look bad. Like, I never thought I'd find myself saying the Clippers look like a more attractive team to go to right now. Like, if I'm an NBA player and the Lakers offered me a contract, I'm like, what the Clippers talking about, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, because this looks bad. Jeannie Buss, you look bad. Kurt Rambis, you look terrible. Rob Pelinka, you need to go. The hiring of the attempted hire of Tyronn Lue led to the hiring of Frank Vogel with Jason Kidd as the assistant. So at least they have a head coach. They really don't have a president of basketball operations. Technically, they don't have a replacement for Magic yet, which at this point,
they do. They do.
Who?
They do. It's Kurt Rambis. They do. I'm gonna break down. Let me break down this whole thing. Let me cut you off. Let me break down this whole thing. So this is the situation right now. Right. You all know about last season about how the Lakers they didn't get to the playoffs, or this season, whatever you want to call it. They didn't get to the playoffs. It's the first time LeBron hasn't been in the playoffs in a very, very, very long time. I think since his rookie year, to be honest with you. Look, Jeannie Buss is the owner of the team. Jeannie Buss obviously got her title as the owner when her father passed. Well, actually, her brother got it, and then she overthrew her brother to inherit the team. So, Jeannie Buss is the owner of the Lakers, if you didn't know. Now, Jeannie Buss also has a problem with LeBron James for some reason. I don't know what. And this is the thing. I know there's narratives out there that LeBron likes to control his situation. Okay?
Of course.
We all knew that. We knew that before he became a Laker. Now, you went out there and you got LeBron. If you get LeBron, why wouldn't you let LeBron do what he does? I can understand people not wanting to control and wanting to be in control of their own situation. Fine. But why did you go get a man for that reason and expect him not to be himself? Doesn't make any sense. Why would you hire somebody to do everything for your team and then not let him do everything for your team? So the whole thing with Rich Paul trying to trade for Anthony Davis went bad. Jeannie got embarrassed. So now it feels like Jeannie Buss is literally on this rampage to just stop letting LeBron do anything. So come to this time. You know about Magic leaving out of nowhere. Prior a lot to that, he did it unprofessionally, but I understand now why.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel that the direction of the Lakers is going in the right way. He understands that Jeanie Buss doesn't really know what she's doing. And the people that she's hiring, Rob Pelinka, who used to be Kobe Bryant's agent, is not a very good guy, and he's not good at his job at all. So Magic steps down, doesn't tell LeBron. LeBron finds out, a little bit of a problem. Now, they need to hire a new coach because they let go of Luke Walton at the end of the season. He's now in Sacramento, I think. We'll see what happens with his situation. We won't talk about Luke right now. But as of now, he's the head coach of Sacramento. But they needed to find a new coach. Now, you have LeBron James for 3 years, at least. 4 if he decides to come, or 3 more years, I should say. It would make sense if you're going to have what is considered one of the best players in the NBA and you want to build around him, to let him have his input and who he wants to be coached by. It just makes sense. I don't care about this, I want to be the control. I do this, I do that. You're not playing, Jeanie. Right. You're not playing in these games. Like, the outcome doesn't matter on your end. Your job is to find people that will help best your team so that way they can perform on the court and keep getting you money. Yeah. That's your job. It's not to do this, I don't want to, fold into LeBron or anything like that. So that's where that lies in. Now, before you say, hold on, what you say?
Well, no, I was going to say, let's jump right into the Ty Lue situation, though. Okay. Let's look at that from a couple different angles, right? One is, are we sure that? I mean, I'm pretty sure that LeBron put Ty Lue's name on the list as a coach that he would want to work with. Obviously, Tyronn Lue was the last guy to get LeBron to the finals and got him a championship in Cleveland. And so I could see where LeBron would want to work with him. Now, it's not me playing devil's advocate or being on Jeanie Buss's side, but just from a basketball fan perspective, do we know that Ty Lue is actually a good coach? Or do we think that Ty Lue is a good LeBron coach, and does that matter in this instance?
No, it doesn't matter because LeBron is your player. I could see if you were hiring him and you had other talent, you have LeBron. You signed up for him to be your best player, to lead your team. I understand that you're having a power trip with him right now, but that's still your best player. You wanted him to lead your team, so give him the utilities and the people that he needs to do so. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even think that Ty Lue was even an option. I think they lowballed him purposely
so that he rejected the job.
So he would reject the job, just so it shows that, hey, look, we tried to hire him, right? But he didn't want to do it, so that's on him.
Now, looking at the whole personnel thing, because again, I like to look at things a little deeper. One of the reasons that Ty Lue said that he didn't take the job was that they wouldn't let him pick his staff. Right. Do you think part of that is, and again, looking at what happened with the Frank Vogel situation, do you think Jeanie Buss was trying to force Jason Kidd onto Ty Lue's staff, and Ty Lue was like, no, I want to pick my assistant? Because I personally feel like the Buss family, for whatever reason, and not knocking Jason Kidd. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good basketball mind. But I think they obviously have a plan for him to become the head coach of the Lakers in the next 2 to 3 years. Yes. And I think that was a part of what Ty Lue was saying no to was, hey, no, I want to pick my assistant. And they were like, well, no, you got to put this guy here because we're only giving you 3 years just so that we can put this guy in place when we want him in.
Yes. I mean, that's exactly why not exactly, but I mean, other than the money aspect and the fact you only gave him 3 years, yes. Why would you want to come in there with, that's not the people that you came in with? Jason Kidd is a great guy, I'm sure, and I'm sure Ty Lue likes him. But if he's not his coaching staff, why would you want him to come in? If you're going to give, like I said, with Senator LeBron, if you're going to give this man the keys to the team, let him drive the car. You know what I'm saying? Let him run the way he wants to run it.
And I think to your point, yes, for both of them, both LeBron and if you brought on a Tyronn Lue, you got to give him the keys because, and here's my thing: if I was Ty Lue, I wouldn't take the job. No, for 3 years and for the low ball offer that you gave me because the expectation and the scrutiny will be way too high for what you're offering me. Yeah, I'm the
Exactly.
last guy that got LeBron to a finals. I'm the last guy that got LeBron a championship. You're going to expect me to take a non-playoff team at least to the conference semis, if not the conference finals, within the next year or two, and you want to lowball me and not allow me to pick my staff? There's no way I
Right.
would take that job. There's no
No.
way I would take that job whatsoever.
No.
And so
It's stupid. Go ahead.
and so Frank Vogel was the safe choice, in my opinion. Because in Frank Vogel's mind, Frank Vogel doesn't have that same expectation to win right off the bat with this team. If Frank Vogel is an 8th seed, 7th seed in the playoffs, and they lose first round, second round, but they made it, Frank Vogel's fine. As opposed to a Ty Lue, who the scrutiny is going to be a lot harder and a lot stronger, and where it's going to be, hey, if you don't get to conference semis or even conference finals in your first year or two, Ty Lue, you're out of here.
Right. Well, Frank Vogel just wants a check. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Look, Frank Vogel, yes, I understand he had great days in Indiana. Did he win? No. Because who knocked him out? LeBron and his team with the help of Ty Lue. I don't understand this situation. Then he goes to the Magic, the Orlando Magic. They won 24 games that year. With the same roster the next year, they won 42 and went to the playoffs. That doesn't make any sense. Like, look, Frank Vogel wasn't working. They told him that he had to get or put Jason Kidd on the staff. He didn't care. It's money. I'm sure that Frank Vogel knows he's going to be fired pretty soon.
Yeah.
But
he may not even make it for the first season.
Right. My problem is, why didn't you just hire Jason Kidd then?
Because, and this is, and I don't want to take credit for coming up on this information on my own. I heard it, I think, from either Stephen A. Smith or Max Kellerman. They couldn't, or they didn't want to make Jason Kidd the face of the team just yet because of Jason Kidd's DUI stuff. Some of his other little antics, the little spilling the water on the court. Like they needed Jason Kidd to probably be in an advisory role on the team, be seen on the court, on TV a little bit, and then give him the head coach role. And let's say, like you said, hey, we tried with Frank Vogel. We really tried. We gave it a good effort. But hey, we're gonna let Jason Kidd go ahead and step in this role because I think they really want him to be the head coach. I just think that I don't know what they're thinking, to be honest with you. Like I don't know what the thought process is in the Lakers organization, but I think they're trying to baby step it in, and it's like. I don't know. Like I don't know.
It doesn't make
sense. They're not making basketball moves. They're just making like trying to hush the fans moves.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's not like your organization doesn't seem like a 3-ring circus right now.
Right.
Like you think Jason Kidd's gonna make anything worse? Like understand this. Jeannie is tripping. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Jeannie is tripping. She needs to get off of this power trip. Kurt Rambis is basically what Magic was before. That's what they're moving Kurt Rambis into basically be doing on the side, including Kurt Rambis' wife, who Jeannie is friends with. Look, I don't know Kurt Rambis' wife, and I'm not going to sit here and speculate anything, but you just can't hire your friends because of your friends if they are not prepared to do the work.
Right. We're talking about billions of dollars here. We're not talking about to run the health food store down the street. We're talking about billions of dollars here.
Right. These are people's careers.
And ultimately, like the history of this franchise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, we're looking at a time where the Clippers may be the most popular team in LA for people to want to come to. They may end up with two superstars this summer. You know what I mean? And what are the Lakers going to have? You're going to have LeBron and a bunch of nobodies again if you let the situation happen because nobody's going to want to come play here. You're going to end up taking on some terrible contracts, and it's going to be bad. It's really going to be bad if they don't sew this whole ship up real quick.
It's terrible. And another key point to be added, there's another man that's staying up in his cabin in Montana who is one of the laziest people in the world right now. I'm sorry to have to say this because we know him and love him for what he did coaching the Bulls and Phil Jackson. But as a GM and as an advisor, he is terrible. He doesn't do anything. That's why he got ran out as a Knicks. Now, the reason why I'm saying his name is because Jeannie Buss, that's her boyfriend, and he's been around forever.
Yeah.
And Kurt
no
Rambis
trust.
and him talk all the time.
Yeah.
So is this just Phil directing things from up in his cabin, smoking his weed up there, chilling, saying, "Hey, go do this, go do that."
And you know what? This does have some reminiscence of Phil, because as a GM, I don't trust Phil at all.
No.
As a coach, yes. GM, no, I don't trust you, Phil. I don't at all.
It's ridiculous. But this, I'm telling you right now, this organization is. Look, LeBron. I'll be honest with you. I understand that he wanted to go to LA for different reasons. He's got his shows, his movies. Obviously, his family is there, better lifestyle. His friends are in the movies, and obviously his agency with Clutch Sports. I get it. Prepare yourself for after basketball career. Bron is a great businessman. He does a lot of great ventures. But I'm gonna be honest with you, this might be the worst move of his career. I do not want to see LeBron go down and be this whatever in LA and people just destroy his name. I know a lot of people don't like LeBron, so it's probably happy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But still, and you don't want to see an all-time great be looked at as this bum because Jeannie Buss and her married men couldn't get it done because they didn't know how to actually run a program.
Right.
I demand a trade. I'm just gonna be honest. I say, like, get me out of here, man.
Yeah, especially when you're in a market like LA, it should be easy. It should be easy to get you 1 or 2 star players that want to come here. But you are purposely messing this up. It feels like you are sabotaging your own organization for what I have no clue whatsoever. But it does. It feels like you're purposely sabotaging your own organization. And LeBron, I don't know that trade demands make sense, because who the hell can even afford you except for Toronto if they lose Kawhi?
Well, you got some places that can, depending on how they decide to run about. Well, yeah. But I mean, Clippers can, the Knicks can, Boston, if they get rid of Kyrie, probably can, because they still have a lot of people on rookie deals. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. I get it, but and it's going to look bad if he does. But I mean, it's going to look worse if you stay here and have this power trip with Jeannie Buss. Jeannie doesn't understand. Like, I don't think Jeannie gets it. Like, he only has 3 or 4 years left. You can sabotage this organization forever.
Right.
Forever for these stupid moves that you're making. Like, LeBron will still go down as one of the best players ever. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He still has millions and millions and millions of dollars. He's still going to be doing everything after his career because he makes smart business moves. Why don't you learn how to do that? Like, I don't get it.
And you have the opportunity to set your organization up to be good for the next 10 years off of this if you're smart with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at where Kobe left you. He left you in a space, okay, we needed a superstar. You got yourself a superstar now. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you could put a few key players, again, maybe you win a chip. Fine. But as long as you get to the conference semifinals, conference finals a few times in the next 3 years, you'll be able to attract key players to your team to keep this thing going. You know what I mean? And be able to have an organization that can sell tickets for the next 10 years if you do this correctly. But again, you're not looking at that. You're looking at here today, right now, yourself, your power trip, your ego, and what can I do? Me as Jeannie Buss, I'm gonna put my foot down and I'm gonna make the moves I want to make because nobody's gonna tell me what I have to do. And that, okay, fine, cool, do it for now. But where are you gonna be in 5 to 10 years when you aren't selling seats and you don't have TV time anymore because nobody cares about your team?
Exactly. So that's on her. She got to figure that out. I mean, it just makes no sense to me that somebody would be that hung up on just trying to stop somebody else from doing something, especially when you hired him on your team. Like, I don't really get it. It's not my money. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not my money. So
yeah,
I'll sit here and talk about you all day if you want to, but it ain't my money.
Yep. So anyway, we hope Lakers and Laker Nation figures that out for themselves. Obviously the Warriors have our own figuring out to do when this season does. So in other NBA news, Kristaps Porzingis, the big man from Latvia, was caught in a bar brawl. I saw it on TMZ Sports. The video that I saw, he was leaving the club. His face was leaking. I don't really know too many more details about what happened. All I know is that he got into an altercation and that he was bleeding, leaving the club. I don't know if you have more info than that.
Same thing. I saw on TMZ as well. I guess he was celebrating an occasion back in his hometown. You know, kind of. I guess it's kind of like a pub crawl. So he's kind of going back and forth to different places. You know, obviously drinking involved. Kristoff is 7'3". It's not very hard to miss him. So basically, from what I heard, a few guys, Russian guys, came up and tried to talk to Kristoff about him being traded from New York to the Mavericks. Now, I don't know how it all went about. I know that Kristoff left New York with a whole bunch of beef towards the organization. Still hasn't really came out and said too much of it, but he was upset at that organization, and that's why they moved him, obviously, because they did not get along together. So the Russian guys basically talking to him. I don't know how it went down, but like you said, all the pictures I've seen was Kristoff leaving bloodied up, and the report said that he got jumped by these guys. I don't know what Kristoff did to them, but the fact of the matter is, man, like, this is the thing that I always worry about with superstars that have money, that you go back to your town or wherever you're from, country in his situation, and things can happen because you're a target. I mean, they know you have a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
They know different things. I mean, I don't know how you could get in a fight over going from the Knicks to the Mavericks unless they were Knicks fans. Even still, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna pick a fight with you just because of anger.
Not even trying to be funny though. Like, how tall do you got to be to hit a 7'3" dude in the eye though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like what? Like, something had to happen for me to catch you in the eye. You 7'3", bro. Like,
I mean, tree chop. I would just say maybe somebody kicked him in the leg.
Kicked him in the leg, and then got him.
He came back. They grabbed him down, and then they just you know.
Because so hit a 7'3" dude, bro. Like, wow. So bad luck for Kristoff. Hopefully the man's all right though. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it doesn't affect him too bad, and he'll be all right. Some other interesting news: Josh Jackson, who most of you probably don't know, and nobody really should, of the Phoenix Suns, was arrested at the Rolling Loud Festival in Miami. Seems like at least one player every year. Roby Anderson was the guy last year. Attempts to sneak backstage. Security told him no. Kicked him out once. He tries to go back again. I guess he tried to flex his Josh Jackson muscle. That didn't work out. And they went ahead and arrested him for disorderly conduct in Miami.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. You always hear things about these concerts. A lot of people come from different states, different places, to witness these things, these big outdoor concerts where they have 1 billion people, performing all throughout the day and night. Same thing like we're talking about with Kristoff Porzingis. People start drinking, everything. People start doing crazy things. Now, in Josh Jackson's case, he didn't do anything, I guess, physical to anybody. But in the same sense, like, just also 6'8". You're not a normal sized man, by any stretch of the mean. You trying to sneak backstage is probably not the smartest thing to do.
They're not gonna notice me.
Right. People might not notice your face because I don't see why they would, but they will notice your height. And they will notice if they told you once not to do that, they will see that the 6'8" man that's ducking his head, trying to blend in with the normal people, is back inside where he's not supposed to be.
Let me just chop down the sides real quick.
Exactly, yeah. Like, come on. Josh Jackson, let me tell you this. You are in Phoenix. You play for the Suns. The only Sun that we recognize is Devin Booker.
Devin, that's it.
So you got to understand that you can't do things like this because you will have a very, very, very short career. Nobody's going to be worried if you get in trouble and you get kicked off a team or out of the league for anything. Like, the Rolling Loud concert is just not that serious for you to have to go backstage and meet Cardi B or Lil Wayne or whoever you wanted to talk to that day. Be smart and just focus. I'm sure you have enough money to pay for the VIP ticket.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money it was,
because for real, I mean, RJ Barrett is about to get drafted probably by your team, so
exactly. And he is your position, and he is better than you. Yeah. So, I mean,
I would just chill out, bro.
Right. Like, think about everything in life, you know? Like, maybe stay home and watch the playoffs, somewhere you've never been to, and you probably won't ever go.
Maybe go to the gym, get some shots up. I don't know.
Right. But, oh well. I hope it was worth it. I just feel like that. I hope it was worth it.
I hope it was worth it. I really do. And so with that, I think we're going to wrap up Hella Flagrant, the podcast, episode 11. Don't forget, as the playoffs go on, obviously, those of y'all that are Warriors fans, you can feel
we got both of them still.
Yeah, we got the Hella Flagrant, but Hella Rings commemorative, shirts. We had them up last year. We brought them back this year because I think we're going to do what get your shirts, and don't forget to keep checking back for our NBA playoff updates. We definitely will be checking in as the playoffs continue to heat up. We get through these conference finals and then on to the finals. But again, you can check out everything Flagrant Foul at theflagrantfoul.com, at hellaflagrant.com, on Instagram at theflagrantfoul, at hellaflagrant, at sean.b.flagrant, at hellaflagrantdm. Hashtag Hella Flagrant. Anything with Hella and Flagrant put together, that's us. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you check it out online on your apps and everywhere else.
Yep. Like you said, we got the shirts. I mean, the Hella Ring shirts is what we made for the finals last year. That was our thing for us, because we do have Hella Rings in the Bay Area. We've gotten Hella Rings the last 4 out of 5 years. Well, 3 out of 4 years. We're going to get another one, so it'll be 4 out of 5 years. But this is a perfect shirt to wear to the parade that we will be going to. Not trying to jinx anything, but we will be there. So go buy that now, hellaflagrant.com. Like we said, we're going to have one more episode. But before that episode, we're going to have our cutaways of the playoffs, because it's getting intense right now. Everything's coming back. We have the draft lottery coming up, the draft after that. If we have the playoff or the parade, we're gonna have to do something for that. So just keep checking in all the time. We'll obviously post things to the Instagram, to the Facebook accounts, so that way you'll be able to see all the stuff that we're doing. And we're putting all this out, for y'all. It's almost the end of season 2 this year, so check back in with us on the last episode. We're going to have something special for y'all. But like you said, get these shirts, grab this shirt. We got another shirt that's probably going to be coming pretty soon. So you can get all of them in all the colors you want to. The Hella Rings, you don't want to add one, because, nobody else got Hella Rings.
Nobody.
So we don't got different colors for that. Right. We only got the black and the gold and the blue and the gold, because, this is for us. This is for the Bay Area. But these come in all different colors. So if you're not a Warriors fan, sucks for you, but you got shirts and colors for everybody. So
absolutely. So on that note, Hella Flagrant podcast, episode 11. We're gonna get up out of here. We're gonna catch y'all on the next one. Peace.